I'm so excited to be here and see this family around me. Y'all are beautiful. So I was thinking about this topic, who's the most influential person in my life, and I couldn't help but think of my grandfather, my mom's dad, Papa. And Papa was that guy. Everywhere he went, he was the coolest person around. And I remember being a little kid. He died when I was a young guy when I was 13. And I remember as a little kid, I was like, man, how can I be like that guy? That guy is so cool. He had this bright white hair, which he'd had since he was my age. Shock of just the whitest, and this awesome white mustache. And he wore tons of turquoise jewelry. He was like an OG hippie. He had like massive mutton chops. Anyway, he was the guy. I mean, he even died cool. He hit like an infield home run, and he died. He had a heart attack while he was running on the bases. Like the guy's the man. So as I would watch him growing up, I'd be like, how can I be the man like that man? And I noticed what he did all the time when we'd be out places was that he would talk to strangers all the time. He'd be there with us, and then we'd turn around and he'd be like over there talking to some random people, and we'd be like, does he know those guys? And of course, he did not know those guys. So I was like, well, maybe there's something to that. I grew up all over the place. Like I moved, 14 times by the time I was 18 or something like that. It was a whirlwind, and the only way I survived was talking to a lot of strangers. I was constantly meeting new people, bringing them into my world, leaving them behind, meeting new people, and it was cool. But fast forward a little bit, and I find myself teaching English in Korea for my first year out of college, and I am like at a loss because I can't talk to strangers. I don't know how to speak Korean, unfortunately. So I am running around Korea like squeezed into the subway, like really typing, like I wish I could talk to all these people, they're so cool. But I can't. I'm like eating beetle larvae, and I'm like, well, I wish I could tell people like what these beetle larvae taste like. But I can't talk to any of these strangers. And I finally find something that really connects with people, which is I fall in love with this soup called doenjang jjigae. And doenjang jjigae is a fermented bean paste soup that most people who are not from Korea despise. It is very, very, very pungent, to say the least. If you go to a Korean restaurant, try it out. It's something. I love it. I like pungent things in general. So excuse me. All right. Anyway. So let's fast forward. I started going to restaurants, ordering the soup. People are stoked that a foreigner is ordering this soup. They're like, you like doenjang jjigae? You're wild. And I'm like, yeah, I am wild. And you're wild too, and let's hang out. And they're like, huh? And I was like, okay. And so that was most of my experience in Korea. Then fast forward a while, and I moved to here, which is where I'm from originally, but I had no real connection to because I moved away when I was a little kid. But I just moved back like a year ago. And my family came out and visited me, and we went to the Glenwood Hot Springs, which I'm sure you all know. And we're sitting in the Glenwood Hot Springs, and we're looking around, and I'm like, oh, strangers everywhere, this is awesome. And my family is just like, they know me, they know I have this problem. And they can feel when I'm getting excited. And I'm like, I see a dude, it's late in the evening, I see a dude, and he's got a snorkel, and he's snorkeling in the Glenwood Hot Springs. I'm like, my man, this guy is interesting. So I say to my family, I'm like, hey guys, what do you think this dude snorkeling in the Glenwood Hot Springs is up to? And my mom is like a very skeptical person, so she's like, oh, what a pervert. He's like looking at people under the water, how disgusting. And my sister is like a total pragmatist. So she's like, Mom, that's awful. No, he's looking for like dropped treasure. Like people have lost their rings, and he does this on a daily, and he's like picking it up and hoarding. And my dad is just like super chill, and my dad's like, I think maybe he just likes snorkeling. And I'm like, well, I don't want to just sit around and wonder about it, so I'm gonna go talk to the stranger. And so I wade over to the dude, and I give him a little nudge, and he comes out like, like rips his snorkel mask off, and he's like, what? And I'm like, hey man, what are you doing snorkeling around the Glenwood Hot Springs? And he replies to me in a heavy Korean accent. He says, my wife, she lost her scrunchie. And it's a very important scrunchie, and she needs to get it back. And so I'm looking for it. I'm like, okay, that's cool, but like, why do you have a snorkel in the mountains? And he's like, oh, I'm on a road trip across the country, and I'm a spear fisherman, and everywhere I go, I have my snorkel. I'm like, great man, whatever you say. And so then I'm like, well, are you Korean by chance? And he goes, no, I'm from California. And I'm like, oh no, I just offended this guy. That was a total accident. I'm like, well, I didn't mean to offend you, my friend, but do you happen to like doenjang jjigae? And he's like, I love doenjang jjigae. I'm like, we do that. And so I get so excited, and then he's like, we were both excited, like talking to each other about Korean food. And then he's like, okay, I gotta go search for the scrunchie. I'm like, okay, my man. I'll see you later. And he dives back into the water. And I go back to my family. My family's like, okay, tell us. And I told them. And the night goes on, the sun sets, it's time to go. We've got a reservation at the Pullman, and it's time. So we leave, and my foot catches on something. And I look down, and there's a little scrunchie on my toes. And I'm like, oh my God, it has to be the scrunchie. And my mom, the skeptic, is like, Bridger, this is a huge pool. There are lots of scrunchies. That's probably not the scrunchie. And my dad is like, he's like, maybe it's a scrunchie. And my sister's like, I think it could be the scrunchie. I'm like, okay. But I look around and the guy's gone, of course. I'm like, what a bummer. I never find out, about this scrunchie situation. So I go into the locker room, enter the locker room, and there's the guy, and he's looking through every locker for the scrunchie. And I'm like, yes! And my dad's like, oh God. Because he knows how excited I am. And I run over to the guy, and I'm like, hey man, I think I found the scrunchie. And like, does it have a little like silver lining? And he's like, it does have a silver lining. And I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. I'll show you where it's right where we were sitting. Go out and find this. You remember where I was sitting? He's like, yeah, I remember where you were sitting. I'm gonna go get it. He leaves. My dad looks over at me with like a resigned look on his face, and he goes, hey Bridger, I think he's not gonna be able to find the scrunchie on his own. I think you gotta like go follow him and show him where the scrunchie is. And so, I run outside after the guy. He's on the opposite side of the pool, nowhere near the scrunchie at all. And I'm like, dude, the scrunchie's over here. He runs back over. He's like, it's the scrunchie. I'm like, oh no, it's the scrunchie. We have the scrunchie moment. And we were both so happy. And he looks at me just like with like this confused awe on his face. And I say to him, well, you know what you have to do, right? And he goes, what do I have to do? Tell me what I have to do. And I'm like, don't tell your wife I was involved in this mission. This is all you, my man. You've been the hero of the day, searching and searching. If you weren't still searching, this wouldn't have happened. He's like, I would never leave you out of this story. You're an essential piece to this. And we hug it out, and then I go back in the locker room, and my dad's like, well, what happened? I was like, it was beautiful, one of the best things that's ever happened to me. And my dad's like, yeah, you say that every time. And we go out into the hall, and he's there with his wife and his kids. and they're waiting for me. And they're all like, thank you so much. That's you have no idea. That was so sweet. We really appreciate it. And we give each other this like deep Korean bow of respect. And then I say, 안녕히 계세요. And that's my story about talking to strangers. Talk to more strangers.
Thank you, Richard. All right, I'm gonna tell a little story here, but before I do, I want you to all think about coming up to tell something to us. I've done these events a lot over the years, and it really does make that evening special. That's what the wine is for, just right over there. And the carrots, exactly. But wash the carrots down with the wine because you don't want to be telling a story with like carrots in your teeth. So I'm gonna tell a story actually from my professional life, and many realtors, if they were to tell this kind of story, it would be the story that would show them working with the utmost level of professionalism and attention to detail in such a way that the audience would feel like they would be missing out entirely if they were to work with anyone else. I'm gonna go in a different direction. Definitely a little bit unprofessional what I did, but whatever, y'all know me. And before I go any further, I do have a trigger warning. We're gonna be talking about 2014 real estate prices. So if anyone has any issues with that, now would be the time. Ash is leaving the room. So in 2014, I was living and working in Denver. I was maybe a year into this particular line of work. I had this client named Tommy, sweet Tommy. He was one of those bro-y trust funder types, and had been looking forever, like looking at 50 houses, under contract 3 times. I felt like the guy working at the ice cream store when they're tasting every little bit of ice cream, and you want to say, buy a fucking scoop of ice cream, buddy. And so this particular night, we were going to look at a home in a neighborhood called Country Club, so something a little bit different. I went to go pick up Tommy at his house in the Highlands, and he was sort of organizing some things as we were getting ready, and I was explaining, Highlands is a neighborhood of a lot of young people, it's more affordable, and a lot of these houses have front porches, and there's something called front porch culture where people all kind of hang out with their neighbors and go from porch to porch before going to play kickball or going out on a Tinder date or all those things city people do. And Country Club is a neighborhood that pretty much is what it sounds like. Country Club, the houses are a lot bigger, they're a lot more expensive. You have older people who tend to keep to themselves because they're too busy running their families or their hedge fund or whatever it is they do. But there was this one little $400,000 house on Country Club that looked pretty cool, so we went to go look at it. As I'm explaining this to Tommy, he took a rip off his bong, and then he hands it to me. Now, THC is not my drug. It just isn't. It makes me think I'm the worst person in the world. Everybody hates me. Everything I've done is wrong, not just in the present moment, but from the point of birth through the present moment up until when I die. So naturally, I went for the bong rip. About 5 minutes later, I remembered that bongs are an incredibly more effective way of taking THC than smoking a joint or hitting a bong or anything like that. So thankfully, Tommy drove. I know someone might be judging this, but Governor Polis did recently declare that driving high is a state pastime of Colorado. So we get down to this house in Country Club. Everybody thinks my job is glamorous, real estate is glamorous. You have these reality TV shows and all the realtors on Instagram and all that stuff, but there are some unglamorous parts of it. One of them is opening a lockbox, like the thing that has a code, that has the keys that we use to get inside. And sometimes they're awkwardly placed. This one was really awkwardly placed. It was upside down on the ground. So there I am in the dark. It was 5:30 later in the year with my headlamp on, trying to get this thing open on my knees. My head's upside down. My ass is up in the air. I'm questioning every decision I've ever made in my life. And that is when I hear, "What are you doing?" I look up, to see this woman on the sidewalk. Let's just say this woman was a type. She was wearing athletic, like leisure wear, like workout clothes, and not the kind of, and they were fancy, not Lululemon fancy, but if Gucci had a brand, it would be that level of fancy. And then she had this dog. And this dog is the kind of animal we've all seen in Aspen. You know when you look at one of them and you think to yourself, damn, that dog looks expensive. Once again, what are you doing? In my current state of circumstances, this was the last fucking thing I needed. And it became clear to me that she thought maybe we were breaking into the house. No, ma'am, it's okay. Like, I'm a realtor, he's my buyer client. We have authorization to be here. I scheduled a showing, like there's a sign, clearly the house is for sale, and we're going to look at it. Well, I live right next door. Okay, that's great. My house is at least 3 times as big as this house. In fact, I can't believe anyone would ever want to live in a house this small. Now, this wasn't a trailer. This wasn't some like piece of crap house. This was actually, it was a really cute 1,600 square foot Victorian, like very classic for the, for Denver in that area, 2 stories with all this original woodwork, built-in bookshelves. It had oak floors, original tile around the fireplace. Jesus Christ, I am sounding like a real estate agent. It was a cool house, but she seemed really mad about us looking at it. Well, I think so. It was kind of hard to tell because of all the Botox. But I just can't imagine a world where someone would want to live in a house this small. I look over at Tommy, and he's looking at me with those bloodshot eyes of his. Who would live in a house like this? She asked again. And I look at Tommy with his backwards baseball cap, his Patagonia fleece over a Broncos t-shirt with paint stains on it, his jeans that were 1, if not 2 sizes too big. And I think to myself, who would live in a house like this? This fucking guy. And he gives me this look that seems to say, Pete, is this really happening? And all I could think was, I've got nothing. But I thanked this lady for her opinion, and she walked off in anger. But before she did that, her dog lifted his leg and took a piss on the sidewalk, as if to cast his own judgment on Tommy looking at this house. Tommy again gives me this look that seems to say, am I a bad person for daring to consider living in a house smaller than 2,500 square feet? I assured him he wasn't. And so at this point, there was no way he was buying the house. But we went in and we looked at it as a formality. It was a perfectly nice house. And then we were driving home in silence until Tommy said, so bro, I don't think I want to live in country club. I think we should stick to the highlands. To which I replied, consider it done, bro. But for now, that light has been green for about 10 seconds. You should probably start driving. Thank you. Yes. Yeah.
I was looking at Facebook and I see that it's your birthday.
Tomorrow, technically, it is. Yeah. I'm lucky to still be here. Any takers to tell a story? Melly, I knew you were going to come through. Melly did a great time last time. We got Melly Rose, everyone. Let's give her a big hand.
This is not practiced. I just feel like I need practice. One of my favorite poems begins, I'm nobody. Who are you? Are you nobody too? I feel like a nobody most of the time. I don't have connections. I don't have a big, warm, loving family. I don't have money. And when I think about influencers, I definitely don't have the numbers. My numbers are small. I don't have followers. I don't have an audience listening with bated breath to every word I might speak. Instead, I work on a smaller scale. I teach fitness classes. I have a master's degree in exercise science, and it's a part-time job that I really enjoy. And my classes are really small. The biggest class that I've taught has been a free class up at Snowmass, if you've ever gone to Fitness on the Rink, which has been about 30 people. But on a daily basis, I teach to 3 to 5. And still I show up day after day, proud of the classes that I put together, putting my full energy behind my teaching, really enjoying giving my all to these people and hoping that maybe they feel seen. Because I don't prescribe to fitness as washboard abs. I don't prescribe to fitness as being the best one on the field. I prescribe to fitness as being a movement practice that you actually enjoy. And so I hope that people enjoy my classes. But if you looked at the numbers, you wouldn't know. I've been teaching with TAC for almost 2 years now, and my classes stay small. It's hard when you get on social media and you see all these big names and big numbers and flashy people with their tans and their perfect bodies. Part of me is proud of being relatable. I'm kind of a normal person, a nobody, if you will. And I really do enjoy my classes, so I keep showing up. But I realized one day when I was walking my dog around Crown Mountain Park, and we had a seat under one of the big trees, still in the summertime, so there was sunshine and lots of greenery, and she needed a little break. And someone walked by and stopped. She took off her sunglasses and she said, Melly, right? I took one of your classes a couple weeks ago. It was a class that I had subbed for another instructor, a deep stretch class where I implemented some fascia and mobility work and some nerve flossing, and maybe I did a little bit of undercover energy work that I didn't tell anybody about. And she told me that that class had changed her life. She said, I had been having back pain for 6 months, and I'd been to the doctor and nothing had fixed it. And you taught us this nerve flossing stuff that I'd never heard of before, and my pain is gone. And I just wanted you to know that you made a difference. And I don't say that to brag. I say that because I do feel like I am a nobody, not in the self-deprecating sense, but because I am unassuming and I am an everyman. I want to be accessible. I want to relate to people. I don't want to be up on a pedestal where people are trying to achieve something that is unachievable, because a lot of these things are genetic and or based in privilege. So I'm glad that I can remain accessible, and it was a good reminder to me that it doesn't matter what your numbers are. If I'm teaching to 3 to 5 people every day, and one person can take away something that's made a difference, that's why I keep showing up.
Thank you, Melly. So we have one more storyteller for us, unless. All right, Chris. Chris Walters. Let's give it up to Chris.
So I was kind of wondering, it's like influence, what's up with that? And I do have this friend. We've been friends since we were just wee tots. Her name's Kristen Canning, and over the years, she's come to visit out in Colorado, and she's a bit of an adventurer. She likes to get out and run and do all this other shit and hike. And we both kind of aspire to do like some big mountain hiking and different wild things. And we sort of bounce off each other in this way where we're like, we can do it, you know? Even if things kind of get into a situation where we maybe not should be there. So there's been like 3 times already that we've gotten ourselves into these situations, whether we're hiking up Snowmass or one of the Bells in the middle of winter and ended up coming down, like we were sitting on this peak eating these PB&J sandwiches thinking, where in the fuck are we? You know, how are we gonna get down from here? But this particular time, we decided to hike up to Conundrum Hot Springs in December. We had our snowshoes, we had food and water, and we had all this other, whatever, and making our way up. And neither of us had ever worn snowshoes ever before. And so we're like, whatever, we'll figure it out on the way, right? And we're driving my van, Falcor, and we're on the way, and we fucking get stuck. Like literally, we can't even get to the trailhead, and we're like sliding back down. And you'd think that'd be like one of the first signs, like maybe we should just turn around. But no, we're looking at each other like, hey, yeah, sure. We're both like, yeah, like, just not wanting to back down. Like, we can do this. So sure, we start hiking. We start walking. We make our way to the trailhead, and we put on our boots, and we start figuring it out. We're both kind of struggling, and we get a little ways up the way, and we're figuring on how much time it would take us, and we're already like a pretty good distance into that time, and she's getting a little frustrated, and my thought is, well, I brought mushrooms, so maybe it'll make things easier. Just a little bit. And so we take some mushrooms, and I'm having a great time. We're figuring it out, and so the whole thing is this just like fucking struggle, and the whole time we're thinking, should we just keep going? And we're almost there, right? We're almost there. Like I said, both of us, we're not like pushing each other in this way, but we're both just looking at each other like, yeah, like we're adults, we're strong, we're athletes. We can do this, come on! And so we keep on trucking, we make it to the springs, and we're like, oh my God, sweet Jesus, this is amazing. And there's already this other couple there, which is great. We're like, okay, so we're not the only ones, this wasn't impossible, and it's not so dangerous. And so we get naked, we get in, and we have ourselves a time. We're sitting in the tub for like quite a minute. We brought our flashlights and all this other jazz, and we were totally prepared to go down in the dark, right? Well, this is where we get ourselves a little bit of trouble. And so, because the other guys, they were there the whole time with us, and we're like, okay, well, if they're here, like, we can be here, right? It's not too bad. And then they get out, and they put on their skis, and they just like, yeah, I know, right? They head on down. We're like, oh, these lucky bastards. And so, we hang out for another like 10, 15 minutes. We're like, okay, yeah, probably about time. The sun's starting to go down, it's getting dark, it's getting cold. Like I said, it's the middle of December, it's fucking freezing outside. And as prepared as we came, nothing could go wrong. And so we get out and we start to put on our socks and our shoes and our shirts and whatever. And as it goes, everything was like frozen as shit. Very frozen. It was cold, and I can't even get my shoes on for that matter. Like the boots are just not going on; they're frozen solid. We're like, what are we gonna do? What are our options here, right? I know, right? Yeah. So we're like, well, the only way we're gonna get these bad boys like unlocked is like put them in the warm water. I know, no. Yeah. This is where we thought twice. Because I'm like, I know as badly as we want to like get together, like we're gonna get ourselves into big trouble that way. We're gonna lose our toes. We start hiking down this mountain with soaking wet shoes and socks, and so we did the only thing that we could imagine doing, and we got back in the hot springs and just nestled up. I went around and started grabbing some big rocks and made ourselves a little fortress. And there we were, just like hunkered in for 17 hours. That's right. Yeah. I mean, and I had a great time, because we're tripping a little bit, and I had the suggestion. I was like, we're here for another, we got a while to go, because it was late, and it was like early when it started getting dark, and I'm like, the sun's not gonna come out. We literally have to wait until the sunlight's not only out, but like out into the valley, and so we can start bolting. So we have some time, and I'm like, well, I did bring acid as well. And she said no. She's like, Chris, come on, like I'm already full of anxiety. What do you want us to do? I'm like, I don't know, have a good time. Like we're already here. We should enjoy ourselves, right? Yeah. I know, right? So, well, that's where my influence ended because she decided not to take drugs. And I was like, okay, that's cool, we'll hang out. And so I just hungered in, and it was actually a beautiful evening. The stars were amazing. The moon came out, then went away, and we started starling for the first time, which was insane. I had no idea what was going on. I'm literally sitting in this hot tub, and I'm like, already thinking like, what the hell is going on? And I'm looking up, and all of a sudden like, these satellites start dancing across the sky. And I had literally no explanation for it, and I was just blown away. And sure enough, the sun comes out. There was a time in the middle where she was so excited, she had me literally get out of the tub and find my phone so I could tell her what time it was. I was like, girl, do you imagine what time it is? Who gives a shit? And I'm looking over at my bag, and it's literally like a scene out of the movie Day After Tomorrow. You guys know what I'm talking about? Where everything gets frozen over like instantly. There's like icicles like shooting sideways off of it, and I'm like, you want me to go out there? You really want me to? That's what you want me to do right now? And I did, yeah, because I'm a good friend. And as the story goes, eventually the sun did come out, and I convinced her to wait until it was actually out, and we got our stuff on, and I'd never seen her run away so fast. I was like, she's gone. I'm like, okay, I'll catch up to you later, I guess. We make it down to the bottom, and sure enough, like, luckily my friends do care about me, and they called somebody, and the guy's there, and he's like, hey, you guys okay? Are you so-and-so? We're like, yeah, we're so-and-so. I told him what happened. He was suggesting that we would have hunkered down in the structure that's up there. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Yes. No. Yes.
It's a fucking wall. It's like a one wall with holes in it, and I'm like, really? I was like, that sounds terrible, but you're wearing the fancy hat, so you know what you're talking about. And I guess that's my story about how friends get each other in a little bit of a situation sometimes.
Anybody want to hike up to Conundrum after this?
It's beautiful.
I still haven't been there.
There's meteors.
Oh, let's do it. There are also meteors from my hot tub tonight. So. All right, so we can keep this going a little bit longer. We do have one storyteller left. I don't want to keep pushing to get some of you up here. But is there anyone else? Any takers? All right, come on up. Yeah. What's your name? Stone. Stone. All right, Stone, take it away.
Hello, guys. Hey, so this isn't a story about myself. It's about my uncle. And my uncle, he's from Boston. He lives in Boston. He's a dock worker. And he's like a hard worker. He likes to get like annihilated drunk after his shifts like, every day. And so it's a little bit of a culture in Boston. Like the guys will go to the local bar and get really drunk and then go home, kind of like a cycle. Do it every day. And so he drives home. He lives down the street from this bar or whatever, and he drives home. I don't condone drinking and driving, but this is what he does. So this particular night, he's driving like 4 miles an hour. He's got away with this for years, but he's cocked and he's driving like 4 miles an hour down the street going home. And he gets pulled over. Yeah, he's like driving like that. So anyways, he gets pulled over. The cop comes up. I mean, he smells like a distillery. And the cop comes up and he's like, oh man, you're hammered. Like you're going to jail. And he's like, get out the car. And so my uncle gets out the car. And so at the turn of events, there's an intersection up the street. And there's like a T-bone crash right at the intersection. So the cop, he runs up the street to this crash. And so my uncle, he's sitting there, you know, and about 5 minutes goes by and he's like, I'm going home. I'm tired. And so goes home, and, you know, whatever. And so I'd say about 5:45 a.m. in the morning, he's getting blown up on the door. Door's getting blown up, whatever. So he goes downstairs, he opens the door, and it's the cop. And the cop's like, hey, you know, I pulled you over and you were hammered last night and you're going to jail. And my uncle's like, get the fuck out of here. He's like, I've been here all night sleeping. You know, I went to bed at 8 o'clock. And the cop's like, he's like, no. He's like, I pulled you over, you were drunk. He's like, you're going to jail. My uncle's like, get the fuck out of here. And he said, hey, let's go to your garage. My uncle says, all right, let's go to the garage. They go to the garage. In the garage is the police cruiser. So the cop, so once, you know, the scene was, or the perimeter was secured, as they say, or whatever, the situation's taken care of, he went back and it was my uncle's car or whatever. I think it was like a old Saab, you know those cars, old cars, whatever. And so the cop was so embarrassed that he drove around all night. He found out where my uncle lived, because he didn't want to go back to the precinct in the Saab. So anyways, they switched cars, and that's the story of my uncle being a DUI.
We got one? All right, come on up. What's your name?
I'm Sarah.
Sarah.
So I was thinking about influencers, and I've been thinking about this guy named Greg. And so I went out to Portland, Maine for 3 weeks to get the hell out of here about 10 years ago to stay with my godmother, and who lives in Cape Elizabeth, which is just south of Portland. And she lived about 4 blocks, or not even, maybe a block and a half from the ocean, from a stairwell that went down to the ocean. And her neighbor was a true lobster man. And so he lived between the house and the ocean. And I was unemployed at the time. I quit my job and I'd gone as far away from here as possible. In Portland, Maine's pretty far. And I didn't have a lot of money. And I was like, I'm not just gonna go to Portland and eat lobster. I wanna learn about lobster. So this guy's name is Greg, and every day I noticed he was out in the front yard dealing with all of his traps, and like had piles of traps that were probably 12 feet high, and I couldn't understand how you needed 40 traps to go on the back of a truck when you can only take 5 traps out to the boat or whatever it was. It was a lot, and he was always fiddling with them, working on them, and he'd get up and leave really early in the morning, and I just watched his patterns. And he was a big guy. He was like German, like I'm from Southwest Missouri, where they're big people, like they're big German guys, big shoulders, tall, and here I am, this little person from where here I am. And I just got to visiting with him, like every day I started talking to him, I'm like, how was your catch? And he was real kind of cold the first day when I started talking to him. And he'd tell me a little bit, and I'd be like, well, no, really, I want to know, like, I would like to know how things work, and how does this lobster fishing thing even happen? And so the next day I'd talk to him again and learn something else about the traps and his operation. So then the next day, this went on for like a week, and finally I said, you know, I'd love to learn how lobster fishing happens. Oh, you can't, you know, you gotta be committed for 8 hours and I don't come back, and if you get seasick and it's cold and you might get wet and all the things, and you might get it's very dangerous and there's no way. I said, well, I just came from Colorado. I even brought my rubber boots because I didn't want rain and cold to keep me from playing in the ocean. He's like, you have rubber boots? I was like, yeah. I have rain pants, rain coat, all these things. And he's like, okay, well, let's think about it. The next day, oh, you're gonna be really cold. I was like, well, I have, you know, all these long johns. The next day, oh, well, you're gonna get seasick. And I was like, oh, I'll get some saltines and 7-Up. I always had an answer. Finally, he's like, okay, we'll see. So we go I get up early, jump in the truck, we go down to the harbor, we pick up this man who is not ginormous, like Goliath, like he's this little spindly, tall, skinny guy, and he's the stern man. And I knew nothing about any of the background of any of these people other than Karen, my godmother, who I was staying with. It was her neighbor, and she approved of this activity. And so we go out, and it happened to be a day that instead of going all the way out miles and miles to where they fish off the shelves underwater, they stay close to the shore. And so we got to see all kinds of things, and there's more story than I can tell in this time. But what I learned, what was happening is this man, he put on his big yellow rubber, not pants and a jacket, but like this suit that looked like he was a monk, because I hang out sometimes with the monks up at Snowmass, and I was like, this is interesting. He's got a really cool outfit, bright yellow, dirty, and the whole place is super stinky because it's all this dead fish for lobster fishing. And he just starts telling stories. And I couldn't help. It's illegal to help. It's because it's so dangerous. And so I was like, I'll be the photographer of the day. So I had to just stay out of the way. And he would just tell all these stories about being on the water for 40 years, 35, 40, 50 years, and all the pirates and the conservation and environmental issues and all the things about what it means to be a lobster man and how difficult and how hard work and underpaid. And here we are, I'm thinking, we have a red lobster in Denver and we never think about anything about lobster, we just eat it. And he's going on, and he tells all these stories all day. And it went on for 8 hours. And he was this wise man. And the stern man was doing his job and doing all the cages and the ropes, and I was staying out of the way and taking pictures and listening and asking and being so interested. And so we get back to the harbor and we take the catch and they hoist it up. The tide had gone down, so we hoisted it way up to the dock where they were buying the lobsters. And I never asked to eat a lobster. I never asked to keep anything. I truly was there to learn from this how this works. And so then we drop off the stern man and we drop him off at some place that looked like probably a house or a place where people live in close quarters, and perhaps maybe it was like a halfway house or something. I wasn't sure. So come to find out, the stern man had just gotten out of jail. This man was an AA, I don't know the language, but he had been through AA and was a coach or a mentor, sponsor, thank you. And he was giving this man a chance. And he was giving me a chance to learn about things. And he was, all the relationships he'd had with all these people that had been lobstermen in that community forever. And I think about Greg and I think about that story of giving people a chance and seeing the stern man, I wish I would remember his name, to say, yeah, I'll give you a decent job and I'll teach you a skill and come along. I'll even give you a ride home. And I just think about what that taught me and that opportunity to learn stories all day long. And I'll never eat a lobster the same way ever again. And I never ate lobster with Greg. And that wasn't, because lobster is it's a very, very precious thing that we take so for granted. So that's my story of influences.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm loving these impromptu storytellers. Looks like we have another one. Yeah. See, once one person does it, everybody does it, and it's like acid in the hot spring is what inspires it. As you know, a singer-songwriter who has a song with that title. What's your name?
Molly. I'm Molly.
Molly. All right. Everybody give it up for Molly.
This is so far out of my comfort zone, so thank you for listening. I'm really liking these East Coast ocean stories because something happened to me recently that's brought memories of that back. On Sunday, I logged onto Instagram and I saw a former employer of mine, the captain of my lifeguard squad on the East Coast, Jersey Shore. Shout out, anyone? Yeah. And he posted about a former coworker of mine, just kind of like a life story. And I was like, okay, this is weird, what's going on? And I checked all the other social medias. I saw that the last thing that this guy posted was R.I.P. Charlie Kirk, which was unfortunate. And then I looked through more of his earlier Facebook posts, and he seems very like conflicted. And it just got to me. I really started thinking about it, and it turns out this guy, his name is Otto, was Otto. He had an outsized influence on me throughout my life. We started working on the squad together. We rode together. He was responsible for like my love for rowing. Oh, and of course, so I started lifeguarding after my first year of college and the summer after my first year, and I was very repressed as an adolescent, so that was my introduction to drinking. We had Weiler Wednesdays before our Wednesday concerts, and I would just, I drank a bit too much then. But I learned my limits, and Otto was there for all of it. And yeah, he was just this huge personality. Otto was just being Otto. I keep every time I think of him for the last couple days, it's just like fucking Otto. And yeah, he was just such a great guy, and it just seems like he was super conflicted. And I've just been thinking about what he's been going through and all the pain that we're all sort of going through to some extent these days. And it's really, had a huge influence on me. I was going through pictures earlier today, and there's so many of Otto just jumping out of the boat as it's coming into shore, I recall this experience that I had rowing with dolphins, which was just fucking beautiful. I did not structure this story very well, but I said a couple things I wanted to say and honored the dude that just died recently. I have no idea, where it's going, but it's definitely having an influence on me right now. Thank you.
I'd say we have time for one more, if anybody so desires. All right then. Oh wait,
Maybe, okay.
Yeah, no, you're in now. You're doing it now. All right. Michaela, everybody.
It's Michaela.
It's pronounced Michaela. It rhymes with Nutella. Thank you, Pete.
Right. Welcome.
I've had a glass and a half of wine so far, so the lubrication is feeling nice enough for me to be up here with all of you tonight. So thank you, Pete, for providing that.
And the carrots.
And the carrots, mostly the carrots. Thank you, Maddie. We rock bottom ranch. So, I came in and I learned that there was a theme tonight. It's influence. And through everybody's stories who have shared tonight, I began to think to myself, what has influenced me and what does it mean to me? And there are people like our grandfathers in our lives, and there are experiences. And for me, it was an experience. And so I'll start with a question. All right, is anybody rafters in the room? Do we have rafters? Okay, we have a few. To my rafting friends, do we understand how freaky raft people are? Generally, freaky raft people. Ash understands, yes, I understand. So, okay, for my friends who aren't rafters, who don't know what rafting culture is, it is freaky. People are naked all the time. They're drinking. They're doing drugs. People are out there, and it's not the constant, right? But I'm 29. I have some younger friends, and they're just kind of all over the place. They're great rafters. They run class. I was in the Grand Canyon with these specific rafters, and we're running class 9. So in standard tradition, that's 4.5 in your class out of 5. Amazing rafting people. And yet we can still be freaky and have fun and do these cool things together. And so, okay, that's foreshadowing. I'm gonna take a step back. So I'm a redhead, and when I was in 7th grade going through puberty, the South Park Gingers Have No Soul came out. So I got bullied so hard because gingers have no soul, and I was the only redhead child in my middle school. I think there was maybe one other kid, and I was in Omaha, Nebraska, and my dad was Army, so we grew up also all around the world. I think that you were saying that, Bridger, likewise. And it was just kind of I personally felt really small in that moment of the fact that my unique individuality already, I had felt so kind of disconnected from being together and in connection with people because I had moved so many times. I moved every year for the first 8 years of my life. I lived on 3 continents by the time I was 12. And so I was just looking for connection. And then of course, South Park makes this really actually objectively funny, story. It is, looking back on it, Gingers Have No Soul is hilarious, and I so buy into that nowadays. But when you're trying to develop confidence in yourself, not a good time to have that video come out or that episode. And then also, I started wearing a push-up bra that like next year, and so it got me fun of that for like being a woman and like trying to tap into like my own womanhood and understand what that meant for me. And so there's all of these like internal things that I held on to, right? Like we hold on to these things when we're younger, right? Uni, like there are these things that we just don't know how to process at the time, so we just kind of like sweep them under the rug, as we say. We don't address them, right? And so, okay, my friend, back to the Grand Canyon, my friend got this permit to go on the Grand Canyon for 24 days, and like this permit is a once in a lifetime permit. Like you get it when you're putting in permits for like 10 years. I think he had been putting in for maybe 8 years at that time. He'd been putting in since college, and he won it. And he, by the grace of God, invited me. I had never been on an overnight raft trip in my life. And I think I was the least experienced person to be on that raft trip. But he invited me, and we got the gear, and we're going on. And apparently, when you're on raft trips, there's all these fun little like parties, these themed parties that people do. So the third night was a gender bender. And so on this third night, PL is my bisexual ego, and he likes to wear wig, looks a little bit like Bob Ross, and he loves to be a little eccentric. He's bisexual, you know, it goes both ways, it's very fun, and you know, he has no social boundaries, social anxieties, they're afraid of him, if you know what I'm saying. Like, it's so fun, right? Like, it's so good. And so, okay, so like, I'm here, I'm like this bisexual Frenchman, I'm gay, whatever, like, I don't care. And then the like next party night we're in this onesie, and my things are off, and like mind you, okay, more foreshadowing, backing up. Before that, I had been like super insecure. I know, 1.5 glasses of wine. What are you gonna do? So I've like been super insecure about my body my whole life. Not only because of like the gingerness, and not only because of like slight perceived in development that like I perceived by being small chested, like which I feel is like in development, which actually is just like my natural body. And so then being like a man one night, and then, you know, a couple nights later we have a onesie theme, and it's so hot in the Grand Canyon when we were there. We were in late October, and it was just really warm, like unpredictably. And so I'm naked underneath my onesie, and so my shirt's off, and for the first time in my life, I'm just comfortably like with my boobs out. That feels great. And then for the rest of the time, I'm just with these group of humans who are so comfortable in their own nudity, and so comfortable being like very just open. And I was with mostly couples, a couple of people who had like boyfriends that weren't on the trip, and like I think my friend Noah and I were the only single people, but that was really healing because we just got to be naked in front of people, and it wasn't sexualized. It wasn't like I'm looking at you and I'm looking at your body because I want to be with you. No, it was just like we're naked here together because we can just be naked together, and it doesn't have all of these auxiliary meanings of sexualization. We're just humans right now. And that perpetuated we ended up spending an extra day on the Grand Canyon that we weren't supposed to, but we ended up spending the rest of the full 25 days naked and in love with each other's humanness, that I cannot express to you how much that healed with that 7th grade trauma that told me that your hair color, which carpets do match the drapes fold, that like your hair color is ugly, that your small chests are ugly, like all of those internalized insecurities were given to the Colorado River in the belly of the Grand Canyon and just washed away. Yeah, it was super, super special. And not to say that you have to like be naked with your friends if you're not feeling confident, but like find those moments that you have the opportunity to be influenced in a way that like you can step into your confidence, because I cannot ring the like highest praise of not only the humans that were there to support me, but just like the river and the canyon walls and like the earth that was there to tell me like you are enough, And we're here to also influence you in your own confidence, and that's what I have to say. So thank you.
Thank you, Michaela. Wow, take me back to the river. I just got off a raft trip a couple weeks ago, and I have a really elaborate setup for my tent, but I have to give you credit. Yours is more elaborate than mine because I have neither carpets or drapes in my tent. All right, we have one more storyteller for you, and I have this memory of this woman, and it was my first mountain fair, 2021, Saturday night. The fairgrounds had all emptied and everybody was pouring into Main Street. I was taking in the magic of this new experience, and this really special thing we have in our town. Walking down the street, I heard the sound of a banjo playing, and I saw this blonde woman playing it kind of from the side, and her hair was hanging down, so I couldn't see her face at all. And it was this captivating moment that became sort of a symbol of what Carbondale was for me. And years later, I got a chance to meet her, and now I call her a dear friend. So I'm just really excited that tonight we have Olivia. She's a hammer-handed, spoon-wielding warrior bard. Carbondale has been home for 25 years, but now she wanders where the adventure unfurls its rainbow serpent wings. Her quest is rooted in the songs and stories that remind us where we all come from, and that we always are more alike than we are different. So please give a warm welcome to Olivia the Bard, Olivia Pettit.
I love stories. Oh my God, isn't it amazing how many stories we all have amongst us? Like, the whole world is made of stories, actually. I knew which story I wanted to tell before I knew the theme, so I'll leave it up to you to decide where the influence is in this story. I decided that I wanted to tell this story because it's October, it's spooky season, and so see if we can get a little spooky. It's scariest at the beginning because it was my first spring trip as a CRMS teacher. And I was going out to Moab on a beginner's bike trip with all girls, 8 students and 2 teachers. And I was really nervous because I was a bike coach, but I didn't really relate to any of these young women. Like, they were terrifying young women. Most of them are freshmen, so everyone knows that 14-year-old girl. Just reach into your life and find that 14-year-old girl. But it turned out to be amazing. During the day, we were out on beautiful, easygoing trails. And at nighttime we would gather and we would talk about what was hard about the day and how we'd grown, and we really bonded every day. Our little crew got stronger and stronger. And on the last night, we were camped at Dead Horse Point, and we gathered on the edge of the canyon, looking out over Canyonlands on the edge of the mesa, to watch the sun go down and have our closing circle. And I think a lot of really lovely things were exchanged. I remember that my takeaway from the whole trip was that I don't need you to like me for me to like you. And that's been a game changer for me. It got me through high school teaching. But there was a student named Ida Cachucha on the trip. She was Apache and Navajo, and she during her turn to share, she recommended to us all that we introduce ourselves to a new place when we visit. That we were on sacred land, and we should introduce ourselves, give our name and a little bit about where we come from, and so that the spirits of that place feel respected and have an opportunity to welcome us rather than just go stomping off wherever we want to. This made a huge impression on me, and I very sincerely and earnestly made a promise that I would begin to practice this. So the next year, I was really excited for a spring trip, but as they say, you can't go back. This year, they sent me out with the bike team. So this is 15 mixed gendered students, 3 coaches, and like everybody trying to prove themselves every step of the way and every pedal of the way. And I guess I was also trying to do that because I was the bike 1 coach. I was the blacksmith teacher, and I was the weirdo on the trip. And it was a lot of like, why don't you have any gears on your bike? And how old is your bike anyways? And I'm just trying to keep up. And in the evenings, when we gathered for evening circle, it was, who's got the sickest new handlebars, and or else the students were just hanging on the every word of the lead coach, who was definitely not concerned about the spirit of the place. So every night I just was trying to get back to my tent so I could have a little solitude and peace, and I was exhausted. I just kept not going out and doing this thing that I promised myself I would do. So finally on the last night, we were in the same campsite, and another round of bike gear talk, and I get to go to bed. So the wind's been present all week, but as we're going to bed, it really starts to pick up. There's like, it's just ripping through camp, and my tent is shuddering, and the flap is flapping, and I just hunker down, and finally I fall asleep. And it was like I opened my eyes, and I was in a living room of like maybe a 1970s condo, and I'm sitting on a gray couch, and there's a dark wood countertop and dark wood floors, and in walks my friend Susan Gibbs. And I feel like I should be really happy to see her, but she's sort of heavy and stumbling into the room, and her smile is like apologetic, and like, what is this? Like, why do I not feel delighted to see Susan? And it sort of slowly descends on me that Susan has died. And this is not Susan, not like I knew her. And as I am about to get very afraid that I'm being visited by a ghost, the thundering wind starts flapping my tent, and it comes down through the top, crashes into my chest, and I feel the wind rushing around inside me, and I hear it outside, and then it stops, but I can feel the wind inside my body. And I'm terrified, like I haven't been since I was a kid. Every time I went camping, I knew that there were scarier things than wolves and bears out in those woods. And now it was inside me. So the next day, I don't know if I slept. I must have slept, but it was dawn, and I went out to the edge of the canyon, and I said, "My name is Olivia. I come from the mountains to the east called Colorado. I have a wonderful family who loves me, and I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be among these ancient rocks and these ancient trees, and it's been really hard, and I'm lost. And I hope I haven't trespassed, and if I have, please forgive me. And then it was daytime, and it was the rigmarole of packing up camp and hitting the road, and I was exhausted, so I was really grateful that one of the other coaches wanted to drive, and I just huddled in the corner of the van and felt the wind tearing around inside my body. And when we got home, I was at this time living in my family house. We were helping my grandfather to make his way through the last stages of life. And I'd been gone for 10 days, so it was definitely my turn to put in some time. We were at this point taking turns sleeping on the floor in his bedroom because he would get up in the middle of the night and go on all kinds of fecal adventures and often involving falling. So someone needed to be there beside him the whole time, and I'd been gone for a long time, so it was my turn. And I was sitting next to him playing my banjo, this really great tune that I have since lost, and I mourn all the time. And he was sleeping mostly by this time. So he was sort of sitting upright, eyes were closed, and I was just playing my banjo. And it had been a long road for this man. It had been a long road for all of us. And I'm still feeling the wind inside my body, and so I wonder if the wind can help my grandfather let go of this place. He was a glider pilot, and maybe the wind is a friend. So I settled into my chair, I stopped playing my instrument, and I connected with this storm. And I saw Susan riding with this herd of wild-haired horsemen. And I said silently, "Can you take my grandfather? Can you help him to find his way out of this place? Please be gentle. I want him to have fun, but he gets scared really easily. You must not drop him." And I'm sitting with the wind and this request, and my grandfather sits up, eyes wide open, and says, "No, no, 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 no." And I said, "Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please stop, stop, stop." And he starts to lean back and he shakes his head at me, disappointed. And I say, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry." He shakes his head. And I think it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks later that he died. The wind was there through the whole spring, blowing around inside me until it blew itself out. And it was really uncomfortable, but it was extremely powerful, and I miss it. Thank you.
What a night we had. I think about our featured storytellers. A couple months ago, we were all at an Airbnb in Summit County. Don't judge us. And everybody was quite tired. And Noonie kept telling stories. She was able to break through the tiredness. And I was so impressed. The next morning I said, "I think I have another storytelling thing coming up. Will you please tell a story?" And then Bridger is this relatively new friend who I keep seeing around, who has such enthusiasm for storytelling, and he listens to The Moth all the time, and now he's my neighbor living over at Avalanche Ranch. and just, and Olivia, of course, like, thank you all so much for taking the time to practice. It's a lot of work. And to all of the impromptu storytellers, like, that was the highlight of the evening.
Yeah.
This is the second time I've done this. I feel like there's some momentum here. Should we keep doing it?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Tonight has been recorded. The one way to find it once I figure out how to put it on the internet is going to be through an Instagram that I started that I think now has 4 followers. Speaking of influence, Instagram, Roaring Fork Storytellers. So follow that, and we'll probably have something maybe in December, maybe in January. But this is a dream of mine to start this here, and the dream is now true, and you all are a big part of it, so thank you so much. Have a great night.
Everybody loves it!
That's okay. It wasn't fun at all. Doing good, yeah. Enjoying myself. Yeah, stepping down from the bonfire. Yeah, I'll still be here. That's something else. I'm trying to work on No. Yeah, I just afraid to have my kids
They get shit at me and I pick them up and I
bet you really
I do.
giving up the nuggies.
I do. Backdroppers. They all line up. They're like, not that.
Yeah, you take it from the top rope or whatever, you know.
I mean, I'm doing sometimes too.
I know. Now that it's like a game, actually, so this Sunday, they're doing like a fundraising thing for but from 7 to 8, they're having different performers, like street dancing, like hip hop, salsa dancing.
Sit down and watch it.
Yeah, and then at 8 o'clock, they're dance club. So from 7 to 8, they do like, I don't know if the situation is, there's chairs or something like that, and then there'll be like a configuration.
Costume up or no?
Yeah.
Costume up or no?
Costume up. I don't know. It is, yeah.
Alright, well that sounds cool.
Yeah. Yeah. One of mine's doing salsa dancing. About it.
Sunday at
7 to 8
Friday.
Oh no. We're gonna ignore it and it's gonna be as soon as it's coffee.
I'm going to turn you off now because there's no reason you should be on anymore.